Hello, this is the Jay Show, and I am Dr. Jay Smith here in London, England. With me is our expert on the Qur'an in the Ahruf, Hatuntash. Good to have you.
Hello, Jay. Thanks for having me.
It's been great to bring you on board specifically for this problem. Now, let's kind of do a quick review of where we've come to so far.
So we started with the general claim Muslim makes regarding the Quran is the eternal word of God. It is never changed, and it is exactly the same Quran we are reading today, which was revealed to Muhammad from 610 to 632. So we are looking at that claim, and we are looking what Islamic tradition is saying, and today what the Qurans out there are telling us. So far, what we've done is we looked at the time of Muhammad, and then we saw Islamic tradition tells us Muhammad didn't compile the Quran. When he died, there wasn't Quran in book
So
form.
while he was living, there was no Quran.
Yeah.
That this was compiled after his death at the time of Abu Bakr, 632, 634,
Yeah.
the first Quran. But there were readings at this time.
So, and we see from the Islamic tradition, it tells us Quran revealed in 7 different arufs.
So at the time that Muhammad died, there were 7 different readings.
Arufs, yes.
Ahruf or Qira'at, these are the different words that are used for that.
Yeah.
So what happened 20 years later?
So first Quran is compiled under the Abu Bakr's between 630 to 634. And around 650s, when Uthman is Caliph from 646 to 656, Uthman, because people start arguing with one another regarding the differences with the written version of the Quran.
So this is the written version now. There are
Yes.
difference in writings.
Yes.
They had to bring it down to one final canonized text.
Yes.
That was done in Uthman, so roughly 20 years after Muhammad.
Yes, around 650s, Uthman compiled one perfect Quran. As he does that, he ordered people to burn all the manuscripts. All the writings out there
all
is
the written
burned.
variations were then burnt.
All the written version of the Quran is burned under the Uthman by his order.
Under his orders, okay.
And as he compiled the perfect Quran,
Right.
he ordered the Quran to be written in only one aruf.
In one
harf.
Hafs, one
Harf.
aruf called the Hafs. We now know this is Hafs today because, but that's...
We don't know this is the Hafs today, but the Quran we are reading is the Hafs Quran today, one of them.
And we find out that Hafs is not from the time of Muhammad. In fact, Hafs comes from quite a bit later.
Around late 8th century.
And
Yeah.
we know that
Hafs is from the
Kufa, the city
Yeah.
of Kufa, and it's fascinating. His dates are 708 to 796.
So in this time we are talking only one harf, one version of the Quran. As Quran traveled to different cities with one person, suddenly it starts multiplied.
And this is what you have found today.
Yes.
These multiplications come about, and you have been able to go around the Arab-speaking world, and
Yeah.
you've taken modern-day Arabic Qurans.
Yes.
These are modern-day Arabic Qurans.
Yes.
You can buy these in the marketplaces quite easily. What are these little tags for?
Okay. So the Quran I am reading today, Muslims are giving me, is the Quran called Hafs Quran. So when you saw those small tabs, it tells you there are the variations in that page versus with the Hafs Quran.
Each time you see one of these, it varies from this. Let me use a smaller one. That one's just too heavy for me to hold. This is a smaller of the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're saying every time you see a tab here, it's different from what is in here.
Yes.
So
it
the
is
Arabic, not the
different.
translation.
Yes.
This is Arabic.
So both of the Qurans you are holding there Arabic. Arabic writing is different, and it changed the meaning. There are the Arabic difference which doesn't change the meaning, but when you see that top, you know there is Arabic writing is different, and it changed the meaning of the word.
Okay, now this is not just one. You found more than one.
In the beginning, as we kind of come across with those Qurans, we start underlining the Quran to see, oh, let's see the variations. We were expecting to find only like 10, 20.
Even if you find one, that's pretty devastating because the Quran is supposedly perfect, unchanged, and exactly the same Quran that we have that comes from heaven, that was sent to Muhammad, that was then compiled under one version, one canonized text. in the time of Uthman, so there should not even be any words that are changed.
Yeah, also if you look at the Islamic tradition, they tell us not even the dot in the Quran changed.
So not even the dots. That means the dots
we
above
know,
or below the lines.
yes.
We talked about that in one
Yes, and we knew
previous
that
episode.
dots weren't exist in the time of Muhammad. That's another
These are
story.
diacritical marks. Okay, so you're saying there's more than one text.
Yes.
How many are there that you have found? Go ahead. What's the first one?
So let's use our Arabic speaker to read it for us.
The narration of Hafs, according to Asim, in the margin, the narration of Al-Susi.
Number 2 Arabic Quran is
The narration of Hafs, according to Asim, the margin, the reading of Abi Ja'far al-Duri way.
so number 2 Arabic Quran is Abi Ja'far's reading. Number 3 is
The narration of Hafs, according to Asim, and the margin, the reading of Yaqub.
so number 3 Arabic Quran is the Yaqub reading. Number 4 Arabic Quran is
The narration of Hafs, according to Asim, and the margin, al-Duri, from Abi Amr al-Basri, the way of Abi az-Zahra Abdurrahman ibn Abdus.
Now let me just stop here real quick. When you say the narration of Hafs according to Asim, I hope those of you who are watching can follow. This is so we're talking about Al-Duri's changes. These are variations from the Hafs text. Let's go on then to number 5.
Quran number 5 is the narration of Hafs according to Asim. Margins are the Ibn Amir's Quran with his 2 students.
Okay.
The reading of Khalaf al-Ashir from al-Durra way.
Quran number 7.
The narration of al-Layth ibn Khalid and the margin what al-Duri disagreed with according to al-Kisai.
Quran number 8.
The narration of Warsh according to Nafi' and it's al-Azraq way.
And Quran number 9. Again, this is another Arabic Quran.
The narration of Warsh according to Nafi' and it's al-Asbahani way.
So we just noticed so far Quran number 8 and Quran number 9, they are 2 Warsh Quran.
Right.
And they are different from one another.
Oh, I see. From Nafi, one is the Asbahani way, and one is Nafi, the one is Azraq way.
Yes.
Fascinating. And we're going to find out more about that when we go to the next slide.
Yes.
You'll unpack that.
Yes.
But let's go ahead and continue with these.
Quran number 10.
The narration of Ibn Jammaz and the margin is the narration of Ibn Wardan.
Our Arabic Quran number 11.
The narration of al-Duri and the margin is what al-Susi disagreed with according to Amr al-Basri.
Okay, stop here a minute. So these people are disagreeing. What do Muslims do with this today? I mean, we have been told there is no disagreement. They are all the same. Every Quran is exactly the same. How can you have people disagreeing with what was originally there?
It is not actually surprising to many Muslims because if we look at the early history of Islam, first, let's say 500 years, even 300 years, we see that people are aware of those variations, people are aware of those differences. And then if you remember in the time of Uthman, they made one perfect copy, one perfect Quran, and then they burned rest of it because they didn't want disagreement to get bigger.
So these disagreements are now coming in subsequent to Uthman. It looks like there was an awful lot of fluidity. It looks like these were acceptable. And at that time, and we're going to see the dates, these are the 9th and 10th century, it was acceptable to have these disagreements. It's not acceptable today.
Yes,
and Muslims need to realize that this claim they're making is a 21st century claim, that the Quran has never been changed. It's exactly the same as it has always been at the time of Uthman and the time of Muhammad, and exactly the same as it has always existed eternally in heaven.
People were aware of it, but I think problem is today, because Muslims are aware that actually Quran has been changed and corrupted, they don't have anything else to hold on. Only the way they can respond it, this is only the recitation, it is only the pronunciation. Nothing written form of the Quran is different.
I've never heard this before. Listen, I've been working with Muslims for 33 years, almost going on 34. I've never heard what you're telling me. This is the first time I've ever come across that there are such different differences in recitation, differences in writing, because these are written differences. We're going to see that later.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about dialogical or punctuation or pronunciation differences. These are written differences, as we saw with the red words.
Yeah. Yes, they are the written version differences, and then it changed the meaning. Yet
that we've got to prove yet.
Yes, it is sad that our dear Muslim friends are telling us, no, it is only the recitation, it doesn't change the meaning. It's
Why
only
have
the way
the
you
Muslims
pronounce
not
it.
been public with this?
I'm guessing academics know about it, but sadly it is not well shared information. Otherwise, we would able to go to the bookshop and buy the critical version of the Arabic Quran or critical version of the translation of the English.
Okay, we're not even halfway through yet, and I'm already bothered by this. But let's
Sorry.
go ahead. That was number 11. Let's go to the 12th one now.
Our 12th Quran is the Arabic Quran.
The narration of Khalaf, according to Hamza, is Shatibiya way.
Thank you. Our 13th Arabic Quran is
The reading of Al-Kisa'i, the Shatibiya way, the narration of Abi al-Harith, and the margin is for the narration of Al-Duri.
Thank you. Our 14th Arabic Quran is
The narration of Shu'ba, according to Asim.
our 15th Arabic Quran is
The reading of Ibn Kathir, Al-Shatibiya way, according to the narration of Qumbul, and the margin is for the narration of Al-Bazzi.
Thank you. Our 16th Arabic Quran is
The narration of Hisham ibn Amir, and the margin is Ibn Zakwan, and what he disagreed with him, and it is from Ibn Amir al-Shami.
our 17th Arabic Quran is
The narration of Al-Bazzi from Ibn Kathir, and the margin is the narration of Qumbul.
thank you. Our 18th Arabic Quran is
The narration of Khalaf, according to Hamza, and the margin is for Khalad.
our 19th Arabic Quran is
The narration of Shu'ba ibn Ayyash, according to the reading of Asim ibn Abi al-Najud, al-Shatibiya way.
thank you. Our 20th Arabic Quran is
The reading of Ibn Amir, al-Shatibiya way, according to the narration of Hisham, and the margin is according to the narration of Ibn Zakwan.
thank you. Our 21st Arabic Quran is
The narration
Arabic
of Qalun, according to Nafi'.
thank you. 22nd Arabic Quran is
The narration of Hafs, according to Asim, and the margin is the reading of Ibn Kathir.
thank you. Our 23rd Arabic Quran is
The narration of Warsh, according to Nafi'.
thank you. So that's the third Warsh Quran.
What do you mean, the third Warsh Quran? Help me here.
So remember, we had two different Warsh Quran. We looked at the number 8 and number 9.
Okay.
One of
and-
them was the Al-Asabaniya way, other one was the Al-Azraq way.
Okay, so these are the derivations from under a family, the Warsh family, which are very popular in Northern Africa
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So these are derivations under that disagree with each other.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
we'll talk more about that
yeah.
when we look at the slide that unpacks that.
yeah,
okay?
that's fine. Quran number 24.
The narration of Ruh, and the margin, what twice disagreed with, from the reading of Yaqub from Al-Durra way.
Thank you. Quran number 25.
The narration of Hafs, according to Asim, and the margin is the narration of Shu'ba.
Thank you. And Quran number 26.
The narration of Qalun, and what he disagreed with, and it's according to the reading of Nafi', Abi Nashid's way.
Also, our 27th Quran is the Hafs Quran. We didn't put it there because Hafs Quran is
That's
exists
this one right
Yeah.
here. So now to unpack that and to help those who are watching to understand what we're talking about, let's look at another slide. And this slide here now shows the different families. And what we're going to do by looking at these slides, we're going to show the families from the different cities. We went through this in the last episode and
Yeah.
we just ended with that, but I'd like to really bring that same slide up now. So if
Yeah.
we can look at that slide, let's take a look. These are the counted variants. You just have right here only 23 Qurans. We've just showed 26.
Yeah.
Actually, we showed 27.
Yeah.
And you have found that looking at the first 23, you can pretty much look and see on the right-hand side of the graph, you will see 5 different cities.
Yes.
Mecca, Medina, Damascus, Kufa, and Basra. Mecca, Medina are in what is today Saudi Arabia.
Arabia.
Damascus is what is today Syria. Kufa and Basra would be what is today Iraq.
Yeah.
So these are all those 5 cities. These are the major cities.
Yeah.
5 of the 9 cities that the Quran was sent to, interestingly,
Yeah.
except not Mecca. Mecca was not one of them.
Yeah,
But
they kept
Medina
it, yeah.
would be the one in that case. So 4 of the 9 cities that they supposedly Uthman sent his Qurans to. Now, looking at the dates, starting with Mecca, you have
Yeah.
found that there are 2 students coming out of Mecca of Ibn Kathir.
Yes.
Explain that and look at the dates and let's see what you're coming up with here.
So what happened is Uthman sent Quran to Mecca with Abdullah ibn Saib. So around 665 to 737, we've got Ibn Kathir.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he's got 2 students, Al-Bazi and Kumbul.
In the 8th and 9th century.
Yes, they are dated 8th and 9th century. And we see today, when you take the Qurans from Al-Bazi and Kumbul, we see Al-Bazi Quran is disagreeing with the current Hafs Quran in 1094 different areas.
So it's not a few. This is over 1,000 you're talking about.
1094 variations from Al-Bazi to Hafs Quran.
Okay.
But interesting thing is, so Al-Bazi and Kumbul are the student for Ibn Kathir.
So when you look up there at the top, you look at Al-Bazi and Kumbul, you can see even they disagree with each other, though
Yes.
they're both students of Ibn Kathir. 312 times they have different between each other.
Yes,
They
so
can't
2
agree.
students are disagreeing, and this number of the disagreements are 312.
Okay, so you want to add that to the 1,094,
Yeah.
so to speak. So in Nafi from in Medina, you see again 2 other students, who
Yeah.
then has 2 other students underneath him. Looks like.
Yes, so we've got Warsh Quran, and then we've got Qalun Quran. So they're Arabic, they're from 8th century and 9th century. So we've got 1 Warsh Quran, which is general, and then we've got another 2 Warsh Quran goes under this. The way they are written are very, very different. So you will be seeing the differences.
We haven't even looked at those yet, so you haven't had time, and that's why you have them in small print. So those are yet to be found out. We could find hundreds more variants under those as well.
General Warsh Quran, General Warsh Quran has 1,354 variations from the Hafs Quran.
Okay.
And then, of course, there are the variations from the 2 sides of the Warsh Quran. So we just counted only one of them, and it was 1,354. And then we've got Qalun Quran. Qalun Quran is disagreeing with the Hafs Quran in 1,732 different areas.
Okay. All right, so let's continue on down to Damascus. Now, when we come to Damascus, we can see Ibn Amir. What do you find? What do you find there? Go ahead.
When we compare the Ibn Amir's Quran, which is dated 8th century, he has 2,743 variations with Hafs.
With the Hafs,
Yes.
the current day Quran, okay?
And Ibn Amir has 2 students. One of his students called Hisham. He has 1,347 variations from the Hafs Quran.
From the Hafs Quran that we have today, okay?
When you look at the students of Ibn Amir, Zakwan and Hisham, we see those 2 students are disagreeing with their teacher, and this number of the disagreement is 614.
Or do they disagree with themselves, with each
Yes,
other?
they are disagreeing with one another, and in 614 different
So let me just put this thing, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that Ibn Amir has 2,700 differences from Hafs. On top of that, Hisham and Zikwan have, Hisham has 1,300 differences with him,
Hafs.
or with Hafs, I'm sorry, with Hafs. Okay, so he has fewer disagreements than his teacher has.
Yes.
Well, that's rather odd, isn't it?
I know.
His teacher was further away than the student is.
I know.
And yet the student comes after the teacher.
I know.
Fascinating. Okay, go on.
We are talking approximately like 100 years after.
You're right.
And then 2 students are disagreeing in 600 different areas.
Between them, they can't even agree.
Yeah. And then we've got Quran, which has been sent to Kufa.
Now, the Kufa has all kinds of variants. I mean, I'm surprised just taking a look here. It gets so complicated, but go ahead and unpack it for us.
So in Kufa, we've got three main readings. Reading of Hamza, reading of Al-Qasa, and reading of Abu Bakr Asam. So under the reading of Hamza, we've got Khalaf and Khalat Quran. Khalat and Khalaf Quran. Apologize for the pronunciation. So Khalaf has two different Qurans.
He doesn't agree with himself in two different places, or these are students?
No. Khalaf is the student of Hamza. And remember, we've got like three verse Quran. So
Right.
we've got two Quran of Khalaf. One of them is Al-Dora way, one of them is normal. So one of the Quran,
I'm still not following you. Are you saying Khalaf wrote two different variants, two
We've
different
got-
variations of the Quran himself?
so we've got two Qurans named as Khalaf.
Right.
One of them is Al-Dora way, one of them is normal.
Okay.
Okay.
But both from him.
Both are from him.
Was he
Narrators
schizophrenic, or did he just change his mind somewhere along the line, or did he just?
I don't know. We've got two Khalaf's Quran. One of them is disagreeing with Hafs in 2,629 areas. And then other one is disagreeing with Hafs in 2,892
Dear me,
areas.
dear
So
me.
we will be
Okay.
looking at what are those differences as we go on. And then also other student of Hamza is the Khalat.
Right.
Okay, Khalat and Khalaf are disagreeing with one another in 601
Differences between them,
variations.
even between
Yes.
them.
Yes. And then we've got Al-Qasa, and then he has two students. One of them is Al-Duri, other one is the Abu Ali Al-Kharat. Okay.
Look at that. Okay.
So Abu Ali Al-Kharat has 5,000 variations.
Whoa.
with
5,000.
versus
We've never come to this many before. That's almost double anything we've seen so far.
Yes.
It was
And it is the Quran
5,000
from
differences, 5,000 different words or phrases that are different from the Hafs Quran that we use today.
Yes, but remember, this Quran comes from Kufa, and Hafs Quran comes from Kufa. So it is in the same location, it is in the same area, and there are only 5,000 variations.
Look at that.
And then when you look at the Abu Ali Al-Kharat's Quran verse with Al-Duri's Quran, like when you compare were there any disagreement between the students, you see, yes, there were the disagreements, approximate 336 variations between two students.
Students certainly didn't come up with the same Quran, did they? They had
Yeah.
lots of problems.
And then we come to the Abu Bakr Asam's Quran. So that's where the Hafs Quran was born or given. So that is dated 9th century. And then other Quran which comes from the, again, Abu Bakr Asam, Abu Bakr Shoba ibn Ayash. Okay? He has two Qurans, again. One of them is Shabbataya way, other one is the normal.
So this is like Khalaf, but we heard earlier.
Yes.
He can't agree with himself. So he has one that was probably one date and one that was much later date. And he kind of...
We can't see the dates.
We don't know
when
the
we look
dates,
at
but
the
it's
narrative-
obviously they're
Yeah.
disagreed. They
Yeah.
do not...
So we
they're
see
not parallel.
one of the Quran is disagreeing with Hafs in 504 areas. So
Okay,
yes.
now we're going to have to wrap this up and bring this to a conclusion. But what I would like to do, before we go to the next episode,
Yeah.
I just want people to look at this graph again. Pull back a bit and just take a look at Mecca, Medina, Damascus, and Kufa. In Mecca, we have 1, 2, 3 different Qurans from the one that was sent by Uthman.
Yeah.
In Medina, we have 1, 2, 3 Qurans again that was sent from Medina. And I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Qurans that is different from the one that was sent by Uthman.
Yeah.
In Damascus, we have 1, 2, 3 again Qurans that are different from the one in Damascus.
Yeah.
And then when we get to Kufa, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different
Yeah.
Qurans, different variants from the one that was sent, by, supposedly
Yeah.
the one that was sent by Uthman. So already 10. And then another 3, that's 13. And then another 4, that's 17. And then another 3. So we're already up to 20 that you're looking at right here, just within those 4 cities. We've already come up with 24.
Yeah.
So we're going to come up with more than what we even have on display
Yeah.
we're going to have to stop there because we're going to have to bring it all together. But as we're now bringing this episode 8, to a conclusion, I hope people are watching this. I hope people are finding out what we're saying. Do you see, Hatun? We're not talking about one simple Quran. We're talking about derivation upon derivation. We're seeing those with each generation start whole new Qurans with lots of variants. There seems to be disagreement amongst students.
Yeah.
There seems to be disagreement between students and teachers, and even there's disagreement amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So somebody, even like we've got the example of Khalaf, we've got the example of also Ayash, two of them who even write completely different, or not completely different, but different Qurans within their own lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's an enormous amount of fluidity going on in the 8th and 9th century.
And as I said, this is not surprising to the Muslims because Islamic tradition talks about it.
Okay, and here's the thing, and this is why I hope people are watching, and we're going to look right at you because it's important you get this. The fact that these still exist today, people will probably come back and say, well, these are just weirdos from the 8th and 9th century that really didn't have any authority. They were not really people of substance. The fact that they have been continuing to be reprinted even today in the 21st century show that these are not weirdos. These are not people who are on the fringes. These are part of the ongoing qira'at that is still exists in the 21st century and still being printed today, even putting in the different colorations. Terrific to have you here, Hatun. We're going to pick this up in the next episode, episode 9. We're going to continue with this graph, and we're going to look at then what happened over on the other side. We're going to look at both sides of the graph and then we're going to start unpacking it. Thanks for being here. Good to have you. We'll see you for episode 9. This is Jay, over and out.